Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Lexa Peterson, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Sarah Luchinsky. This evening we warmly welcome Mr. Alex McGowan, representing the Naval Association of Australia. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia there. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia there.
If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they have done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, flowers of the forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to telegraphist Rex Karl Christensen. Rex Christensen was born on the 14th of June 1919 in Glenhuon, Tasmania, the eldest son of Karl and Myrtle Christensen. He grew up in the nearby riverside township of Franklin and went on to work briefly as a carpenter. In June 1936, having spent time in senior cadets, Rex enlisted in the militia, joining the 40th Battalion. He was discharged in May 1937, as he had signed up to join the Royal Australian Navy for a period of 12 years. In August, Rex Christensen began his naval career at HMAS Cerberus, the Navy's premier training establishment near Crib Point on Hands Inlet, Western Port Bay, near Melbourne. Having been rated ordinary telegraphist, Christensen was transferred to HMAS Sydney in December. One of 3 British modified Leander-class light cruisers acquired in the years immediately before the Second World War, Sydney was busy undertaking seasonal training courses and cruises. Naval telegraphists played an important role in contributing to the fighting efficiency of the Royal Australian Navy. They maintained continuous working shifts, known as watches, to send and receive important signals. As there were no satellite communications, wireless communication was the principal means of sending and receiving messages. Rough seas, bad weather, and poor atmospheric conditions all influenced their work, and telegraphists had to be proficient in adapting to changing circumstances. They also had to adhere to periods of radio silence, when ships would stop transmitting in order to avoid interception through radio detection finding. In January 1939, Rex returned to duty after 3 weeks' leave, which he had spent with his parents in Franklin. In May 1940, a social evening was held by the people of Franklin. Rex was by then in hospital in Perth, so his father represented him for the presentation of an inscribed fountain pen as a memento of Rex having enlisted in the Navy. It is likely that Rex was then suffering from the early stages of tuberculosis, the disease that would ultimately take his life. Discharged as permanently unfit for naval service in September 1940, in August the following year, Rex spent time with his parents in Franklin. He acted as usher at his sister's wedding before entering the repatriation hospital in Hobart for further treatment. He died of his illness on the 8th of February 1943. He was 23 years old. Today, his remains lie in Hobart, Cornelian Bay Crematorium. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember telegraphist Rex Karl Christensen, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and for the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and sounding of the last post.
They have no grave but the cruel sea. No flowers lay at their head. A rusting hulk is their tombstone, a vast on the ocean bed. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, again in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they'll be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.